I was just going to say, I think I'd be good at running the educational system of this country. I feel like I'd be the guy, the one you'd want to call upon to make that happen. Because when I hear food science, I just think that's a wasted elective. Like that,
Really?
Most of them. I feel like most of the electives, the only history they teach you in high school, like in high school, did they teach you anything beyond like the basics of American history and World War II? I feel like everything else I know came from the History Channel.
Dude, it was like American history was literally the complexity that the Simpsons made fun of in that episode when Apu becomes a citizen, and he's like, "What?" The guy's like, "Mr. Whatever, what caused the Civil War?" And he's like, "Oh, that is a very specific question and interesting because it was very multifaceted and different." He's like, "Just say slavery." He's like, "Oh, slavery it is then." And then they go on and he becomes a citizen. That's what my American.
What they taught us the Civil War was about. There was a little time in the 80s when the motivation for the Civil War was taught to be that the South was trading with Europe and the North wanted the South to trade with them kind of exclusively. And that's what the war was about. That's not what the war was about. Like literally states are pulling out of the Union saying we want to own black people. And my school system bent over backwards to like remove that part from the motivation. Silly.
Yeah, like that's what the history was like.
Much that we once knew has been lost.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a little bit of knowledge that we lost there. They erased the truth from Woody schools.
They did. Or maybe they implanted the truth. Ooh, little X-Files.
Maybe there was no Civil War. You ever think of that?
No, never considered that.
Do you know a single Civil War veteran? Do you know anybody who was a slave or owned a slave? I'm not sure any of that happened.
I don't know any slave owners.
Yeah, it's just this story that for some reason, all of a sudden, the northern states have some sort of like something over on the southern ones, and you were bad. Those are the racist states. No, I think it's a big ploy, big democratic ploy.
Yep, those dastardly Democrats came in there. Well, what did you get taught? Did they just say slavery for you?
Well, Mr.
Mackimson, Georgia.
Mr. Mackimson showed us a video called, the title of the video was "The Civil War Was Not About Slavery." That was the name of the cassette that he put into the VCR and wheeled that little TV out for us. He was also a member of the Sons of the Confederate Veterans who came and put on a performance for us one afternoon. We all got to go out in the field behind the high school and sit Indian style out there in the grass and watch them put on their Confederate uniforms and march about, wave their flags and such. And
was it realistic? Did they get their asses kicked?
I believe the South won. Didn't the South win more battles?
Yeah, the South won a lot more battles. But
so yeah, it was realistic. They won the battle.
It's so funny how people like every war is.
There wasn't a battle.
The winner is like, yes, I win in a Titan, and like usually it's pretty close.
But so no, I wouldn't say there was any propaganda hammered home. Like there was just that one day where we watched that cassette, and then that other day where we watched them go out there and bandy about in their uniforms and such. The only reenactment I've ever seen, which is when you've got the North versus the South, and they're shooting the blanks.
The South did not win more battles. I googled it.
Was it Wings House?
Yeah, of course. The Northern website would say that.
You guys, Google. I don't trust this Missouri, Georgia little factoid. I'm gonna check this out. I'm fact checking this.
What is that?
When the North is allowed to count the battles, suddenly the numbers are skewed.
I'm like, how did they win more battles and lose? Which can happen. I think that's what I'm told about Vietnam. But
I think that's what we did in the American Revolution. I think didn't Washington lose at least as many as he won? His thing was we
lost retreater. A lot. But we won the bigger battles, right?
Washington kept retreating battle after battle, but he did a good job of it. He'd save his cannons. He'd keep his men alive, and he'd live to fight another day.
That's the problem. The South was a regular season team. The playoffs came around, and the big battles, when they mattered, the North won.
Gettysburg.
So Gettysburg. That's a big one.
They always ask, what would you do if you had a time machine? Go to Gettysburg.
You'd flip that? You'd bring a machine gun?
I just want to watch. What are you talking about? Crazy? No. I wouldn't want the South to win. That would be terrible. If the South had won the Civil War, it would be awful. The whole what happens during World War II then? You know what I mean? Unless the South
there'd be two
what they did
then.
Unless unless they do what they did in the CSA which is a fantabulous little mockumentary that I go on about every time this topic comes up. And they conquer the North. Lincoln flees to Canada in disgrace. He's later captured. So is Harriet Tubman. They were on the fleet together. Harriet Tubman's quoted as saying, "Mr. President, we both ninjas now." And then after they're done conquering the North, then they conquer a good all of Mexico and a little bit more of South America. Like they keep going, and they have a border wall with Canada. So there's a real potential for a Canadian war.
I wasn't liking it, but all of Mexico and a lot of South America,
and the Caribbean,
weather country,
the Caribbean, all that stuff. Yeah, they just keep going.
That's kind of that's a better country, right?
So that'd be a better.
We have the whole U.S.
Sure.
and
I mean, for most
Mexico.
of us, not for Black folks though. That would be a problem.
I don't think. One, I think Black people would not be in favor of that country. Also,
some would.
In real life, I don't know. Does the South take the North or just secede? Like, was their plan?
No, they would have just seceded. Yeah.
And there's no way if the South went, like the North rebuilt the South. You guys were broken and worthless, and we built you up again.
Worthless.
So, yeah.
We needed you to keep us alive for the next winter, so we quickly helped you build your buildings that we burned.
Yeah, we were running a scorched earth Civil War campaign.
Please, you weren't worth shit. You hadn't done anything. Your slaves did all your work for you. So the North, also a working
like
society. Hey, that's my story. I'll tell it how I want to. And, so we came down there and rebuilt your rubble, ruined society that we wrecked for kicks and shits and giggles. And I doubt the South would have done the same noble act.
Yeah, the South. I don't know. Did the South burn a bunch of northern cities?
Well, they weren't really the pinnacle of morality.
I think you have a skewed view on Reconstructionism.
Don't you tell me, Mr. Dull.
That we did learn about. We learned about those carpetbaggers. I remember that being a fucking vocabulary word. We learned that.
Yeah.
I
remember carpetbaggers.
Those cocksuckers coming down here. No,
we were in the middle though. Missouri we were waiting it out. We were seeing who was going to win.
Both sides.
We played both sides, so we always come out on top. The MAC of states.
I must be mixing up Missouri with another.
But yeah, when I drove to Wing's house, it was like
split Mason-Dixon line.
It was so weird. There was a Civil War battle happening 5 minutes from his house, like in a field. Like they were rolling up on each other, North versus South, shooting black powder and cannons.
Damn. Man, any sort of cannon war. After seeing that Shogun clip and then going on YouTube and watching some of those chain shots, turns out a lot of the examples they have of those like ball and chain, like swinging shots, I guess that was huge in naval battles because they aimed at masts and you could just rip a mast down. And then once the ship has no mast, it's like, all right, you guys got to either surrender and give us your shit or we're just going to win. Like we're gonna steal up, we're gonna kill you. And
we'll swing back around in 2 weeks when you're hungry.
Yeah, and so a naval battle would have been hell, especially with those cannons. You ever seen the end of Master and Commander?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a sick scene. He's walking down those stairs, everything's blowing up.
The sea is no joke. So I've been watching these sailing videos. Have you guys seen these on YouTube? There's like a whole genre that Sailing Le Vagabond, I can't say it, created. And now just, oh my God, one fucking sexy couple after the next sailing around the Caribbean. And I saw this woman, she wasn't a couple, she was by herself. And seemingly there's no land anywhere, but she must not be too far because she found a coral reef and she goes out swimming by herself. There's barracuda everywhere. And she's like, feisty barracuda, shoo. I'm like, dude, that's scary. But what's double scary is like, what if her anchor gives way? She's alone. There isn't another sight in 360 degrees. The horizon is all water, and she's out paddling around the coral reef, like just
that sounds
checking out.
So scary. I would want.
Sounds like her. That sounds like she's a smart video maker, and her boyfriend is below deck, waiting to give her some back shots and help her edit.
You'd have to be really smart. There's no boyfriend.
Did you get the footage?
It's like a 27-foot boat. Like I'd see the other people.
No, you throw me the camera, then I'll throw you the ladder.
There was another one. These people were in 15,000 feet of water, and they decided to go swimming. And what they do is they throw a line out with a fender on it, which is like an inflatable bumper to stop you from hitting the dock. It floats. And Anyway, so now we've got a line with a fender, and they jump out and they hold that so that the boat doesn't get away from them. And it's this guy and the girl. They're like 2 feet away from the boat holding this line. And she goes, let's go out to the fender. And he says, what? No, I don't want to do that at all. And he did, to his credit. But it's just like, I don't know, standing on the edge of a cliff. Why don't boats have hover
technology, like loiter technology? There should be a computer that tells the boat engine how to loiter. Like sit right here. Like you don't have to sit still. I'm not making a rifle shot, but I'm going down there to get some oysters or whatever the fuck. Don't leave me.
I don't think you even want that, right? Because like what you wanted to do is drift like you do.
And to be fair, if you're going down for something, then clearly there's enough room for an anchor. But in 15,000 feet of water, though, that's I guess it doesn't matter if it's 15,000 or 15, but something about looking down and having no. It matters when you look down.
Yeah, you look down and it's just an abyss of fear.
Yeah, but I drown in either one. You drown in a fucking puddle.
Something feels. It happens to me when I'm flying. I fly routinely. Like my happy place is somewhere around 2,000 to 3,000 feet, and every once in a while I go to 5,000, and it's like, whoa, hold on tight. Is this safe? As if 5,000 is more dangerous than 3. It's the same death, but swimming feels like that too. Like I felt safe in 8 feet of water, but not in 80.
Yeah. And you get accustomed to those heights. Like I've worked on roofs before, and after a while, like 12 or 15 foot roof, even if you go up to the peak or whatever, and you're really up there, like maybe 15. All right, I'm not that scared. I wouldn't die. Hell, I'd hit it hard, but I'd get back up. You're not even afraid of it anymore. And then you go like 1 story higher, and you're like, oh no, oh, you're like sweaty palms. My feet just got sweaty thinking about it.
That is more dangerous though. Going from 15 to 25.
Yeah, you go survivable to you're going to the hospital 100% if you fall off a 2-story, I think.